Hello there guys, welcome back to AFC Game by Game. Well, where's to start with that one, eh? Arsenal 2, Southampton 2. Grimly predictable is probably the best way of putting it. I hate to talk about these games, I really do, because exactly what I'm going to say throughout the course of this video is pretty much what you've already heard over the past 2 months. We all know exactly where we stand with things at the moment, and my approach going into this game was we'd had the international break, we'd had 2 weeks away from club football. It was a chance for Unai Emery to rebuild a bit of trust, a bit of faith with the Arsenal fans after what had been, let's face it, a frankly terrible run of games. We're now winless in 5 in the Premier League, I believe it is. The last game we won, I think, was against Bournemouth or Victoria, either one of those games, and neither of those were convincing wins. Let's be honest, it feels like forever since we've won a game well. I don't think we've won a game particularly well in the league at all this season. We've had glimpses of the potential of this squad in the Europa League, in the Carabao Cup against Notts Forest, but apart from that, we've just looked like a side that are seriously lacking in any sort of quality, any progress, and we look significantly worse than we did when Arsene Wenger left a couple of seasons ago. So it's deeply concerning for me that Unai Emery hasn't been able to turn things around in not just the period he's been at the club, but in the past 2 weeks, because he had a lot of time to think about this game against Southampton. I mean, Southampton are 19th in the Premier League, and I think they are a better team than their play suggests. I think they showed that today, but I also think we allowed them to play that way, to play that expansive football, to play a lot better than we actually did. They played the type of football at times that I'd like to see Arsenal play. The amount of space they got into that we just let them have. They didn't really create much in this game. They just pounced on our mistakes because we couldn't string 2 passes together today. We were absolutely awful, as we have been in the past couple of games. Past 10 or so games, we've been absolutely dreadful. I fail to see how Emery's position at Arsenal is still even a talking point. It shouldn't be. He's got to be finished at this club, and I'm not saying that with any malice whatsoever. I do feel sorry for him because it can't be nice when he's in the ground today and there are certain sections of supporters singing "We want Emery out." But as well, I sympathise with those supporters because I'm not saying it's necessarily the right thing. It's not the classy thing, as we always bang on about. But as a supporter, you need to be vocal and you need to be heard. And I don't think a lot of fans know exactly how to be heard. And I think that's one of the only real ways that they feel they can get their frustrations known to the board members. And it's very frustrating when you see the people upstairs, Raul, Vinay, Edu, not doing much to change this, not being particularly vocal on the situation. We saw Vinay come out before the international break and he was quite vocal about his displeasure about the performances, but he said he was fully in support of Emery. Is that going to have changed now, given the result today? It should do, and there should have been informal or formal discussions about Emery's future at the club in recent weeks, because the calibre of squad we've got, the level of players we've got, at this stage in the season, to be 19 points behind Liverpool. We've spent £100 million. We're below Burnley. And a couple of wins, if Sheffield United get a decent result against Man United tomorrow, then we're going to go below them. We've got a negative goal difference. We've got Aubameyang, Lacazette, Nicola Pepe, Mesut Ozil. We've got a negative goal difference 13 games into the Premier League. I don't think we've even scored the most goals in like the top 5, 6, 7 teams in the Premier League. We're getting outplayed by every single team we come up against. Southampton, 19th place in the Premier League, came to the Emirates today and completely outplayed us. Should have won this game 4-1. Let's be honest. If they had better play, if they had a striker, a decent striker, they would have won this game 4-1. If Shane Long had started this game, it'd be over before half time. I'm telling you, it would have been over before half time. But fortunately for us, they didn't take their chances, and we've clawed it back with a last minute equaliser through Lacazette, who was excellent today, by the way. But that shouldn't take us off the fact that the performance is not sustainable. We should have lost this game. Without a shadow of a doubt, we should have lost it, and we should have lost it convincingly. Southampton will be going away kicking themselves that they haven't got a win in this game, which they thoroughly deserved because they were all over us in this match. They look like the home side, and this is a team that are fighting against relegation this season. Whether that will be the case in a couple of months or so, I'm not too sure. I think their squad is certainly too good to be fighting against the relegation battle, but this is a team that currently are in that situation and are fighting for every single point they've got. They recently lost 9-0 at home to Leicester, and we can't beat them at home. It speaks volumes about the level of this team. And I don't think it's the team, I don't think it's the players. I think we've got an excellent squad. You're not telling me that we've got a worse squad than Chelsea, than Man United and Tottenham, because we don't. I think we've got a very healthy squad, a squad that should be competing to definitely get in the top four. And the reality is we're nowhere near that. This was a great opportunity to make up points on Chelsea, who lost to Manchester City today. If we'd have won this game, we'd have picked up a few more points and we'd have been a bit more in contention for a top four spot. Unfortunately, that's not been the case. And if you look at the games we've got coming up, Norwich recently won 2-0 today against Everton at Goodison Park. We've got them, I believe, next away from home. We're not winning that. And then you look at our run over Christmas. I don't see us winning any of those games between the 15th of December and the 21st of January. We've got no chance of winning those games. No chance whatsoever. We've got Frankfurt at home on Thursday. I'm pretty sure Emery's still going to be the man in charge come that game. And I think, I don't know what to expect from that game. I really don't. But his lineups bewilder me. The team today playing with 3 centre-halves, 2 wing-backs at home to Southampton. He should have gone for the jugular, in my opinion. He should have played his strongest 11. This is not his strongest 11. And the fact that someone like Socrates... Oh, I've got to talk about this guy. He's dreadful. I'm very sorry. He is an awful, awful footballer who should be nowhere near Arsenal Football Club. He is... I'm trying to not be disrespectful because he was all right last season, but he's not a player that should be anywhere near Arsenal's team right now. He is very, very poor. He's not good enough to be in this Arsenal team. I'm not saying David Luiz necessarily is, but I think he's certainly been more beneficial to us in terms of what he's offered this season. What he's offered is giving away a few penalties and quite a lot of yellow cards, but he's still a player that I think if you put him in the correct system, line him up alongside someone like Callum Chambers, who would have been my centre-back partnership for today. I think those two players that can pass the ball out from the back that bit better, I think they could potentially work that well. But we all know David Luiz's limitations and his liabilities as well. And I think, we've kind of accepted that. But we're very limited with options. We've not got William Saliba coming until next season, who will, at 19 years old, come straight into this Arsenal defence, which is mental to say. Rob Holding, unfortunately, injured today. But playing back 5 at home and then Torreira and Guendouzi in the middle, I mean... It's no wonder we created nothing in this game. I can't understand why we did that. To not play Nicola Pepe. I know Pepe came on at half time and he came back late with the Ivory Coast, but he wasn't playing a lot before he went away for international duty. He's a player that very rarely has gotten injured in his career. He's a professional athlete. He should have started this game. Should have started this game without a shadow of a doubt. And if you're not going to play him, play Martinelli and play a 4-2-3-1 with proper wingers. I think Bellerin and Tierney, we've got to give them a bit more time. I think Tierney in particular... played a big part in the first goal we scored today, but looked rusty for the most part. The same with Bellerin, I thought he looked very rusty today. But all round, our defending is garbage. It's really, really bad. It's just getting worse. And as I say, we're much worse than we were when Emery first took charge. I don't know how that's happened, considering the investment in the team, the youth prospects coming through. You saw at the end of the game, there were boos, and there were chants of we want Emery out, as I previously mentioned. I think his tenure has to come to an end. I don't know how the board can look at this performance, look at these past results, and come to the conclusion that he's the right man to take us forward, because evidently the players don't believe in his system. Lacazette didn't even celebrate the goal we scored at the end. Barely even celebrated the first goal he got. He just ran straight back to the halfway line. These players just look lacking in ideas, lacking in creativity. I do think we miss Granit Xhaka today. I think we do miss someone in the midfield to not break up, but create play to start things going forward, because we've got no one. All we do is pass it side to side. Mesut Ozil trying desperately to make things happen, running beyond players, taking it through players, dribbling past players, but then eventually has no one to pass it to. I just can't work it out. It feels to me that you just need 2 proper fullbacks. We've got 2 excellent fullbacks in Bellerin and Tierney, who are still coming up to speed. Let's be realistic. We've got an excellent potential partnership on that right hand side with Bellerin and Nicola Pepe. On the left-hand side, you've got Tierney, either Aubameyang, Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, Reece Nelson. That left wing position is open to so many different options. Then you've got an excellent creator in Mesut Ozil. You've got Aubameyang or Lacazette leading the line. And then you've got options in midfield. Torreira, Dani Ceballos, Granit Xhaka, Joe Willock. I mean, I think that's a massive part of the problem this season, that the midfield, we've got a lot of, dare I say, quite average options in midfield. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but Granit Xhaka, for the time he's played this season, I don't think he's convinced many at all, and we've seen what's happened to him in recent weeks. Will he even play for Arsenal again? I doubt it. I really doubt it. Lucas Torreira, who doesn't look anywhere near the type of player he was last season, and he come out in the press and said when the transfer window comes around, we'll see what happens. So he's obviously disgruntled at Arsenal. Whether that quote has been miscued or whether it's been mistranslated, I think it's public knowledge now that he's interested in moving back to Italy, which is a real shame because he was excellent last season. I think a big part of this is the way he's being played, and that Emery's expecting him to be that link between midfield and attack, exactly what Ramsey was for us when he played last season. Torreira's not that guy. He's going to sit in front of the defence, shield it, he's going to break up play, pass it on to someone like Granit Xhaka, Aaron Ramsey when he was at the club. He's that type of player. That's what he should stick to doing. He shouldn't be someone that necessarily has to instigate play, to start moves. He's not that type of player. I think we're all aware of that, except for the man who seems to be making the decisions. And then you've got Guendouzi alongside him, who is 20 years old, and as much as we rely on him and he seems to be a mainstay in the Arsenal team, he's 20 and he's still got a lot of developing to do before he's at that level that we need him to be. I do think he's going to develop at some point into that Aaron Ramsey replacement. I just think that's a few years away yet. He's not the finished article. So the midfield, that Torreira Guendouzi thing, it's a pivot that a lot of people called out for earlier on in the season. A lot of people wanted to see Torreira Guendouzi and Mesut Ozil. I was certainly really open to seeing it as well, but so far for me it's just proven to be overrun quite easily. Maybe I think that could be down to how they're being set up. I really do. Because Torreira again seems to be that player that's driving forward, trying to make things happen. I think if you just let him sit and then you let Guendouzi do the driving, the passing of the ball, I think that does change things. But at the minute they just don't seem to have any real idea of what they're doing. But yeah, I mean it's a dismal result against a team we should have beaten at home. And I certainly, as an Arsenal fan, I don't think we should have this entitled view that I think a lot of supporters have, that we should be beating this team at home. Yeah, we should, but the way we're playing, not necessarily. No, we shouldn't, because we're not a good team at the minute. I'm not going to beat around the bush. We're not a good team. I think it really is a flip of the switch transition. Get Emery out, get someone in that can unify this fan base. I think we all know who I'm talking about here. Freddie Ljungberg. I think he can make a massive difference if he comes into this Arsenal team. I mean, he's already in there, but making him a head coach, making him manager, it changes things massively. The Arsenal fan base will all unite behind him. The players will get behind him, you would hope. And we'll see a spark ignited at Arsenal. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know. But in the short term, it's definitely an option. Definitely something I would do, at least until the end of the season, and then reassess our options. But I think that's the sensible thing to do, because top four is just becoming more and more unrealistic. And the longer we make the change, the longer we refuse to make the change, the more we're just accepting that we're becoming a mid-table team. That's the reality of the situation from my point of view. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Please do let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments box below. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. And as always, I will speak to you very, very soon. See you later, guys.